peeking in like that to make sure they're.
That's what the building inspector.
No, so like a house.
In the case of the resident who was complaining about all of a sudden they've got water in the backyard.
That's a little different.
They just happen to be butt up against the Westfield schools and it's never happened. So
That's a little
in that
different.
case, we just wait for a complaint to come in.
But in that case, yes, we have to, because what happens is we don't know, the grading is at multiple stages, and so if something is not, if guys with big diggers and backhoes and surveyors, stuff, they can make small errors that field which lead to, water flows where it flows. And so it goes in the direction that they didn't intend, and that's when we find out it didn't do that. So we get out there and we say, hey, this is going in the backyard, and they shore it up and put some, some silt fence or whatever they need to do to redirect it. When we get into the building, from a zoning inspection, it's more towards the end, unlike a house, in which we have a few different points. They go up a lot faster than a major piece of commercial industrial construction. So we're not quite there yet for our purposes.
And in the first part of the village engineer's report, he said that he was working on the storm sewer plans for
The middle school.
Oh, that was for the middle school?
Yeah, the elementary school's obviously already been approved, so he's in the middle, they're in the middle review process now for the middle school, because that hasn't been final yet, and that's why construction hasn't started. We're not to that point of digging a hole yet. So he's reviewing the middle school stuff now.
I think the short answer is though that the final grading isn't finished.
No, it's not, that's
Yeah,
correct.
so-
Of course not. Of course not, but they often don't, do they just get to say, oh, I'm sorry, we're not done yet, you get to have water in your backyard?
No, when that comes to our attention, we talk to them and say, hey, this is happening at this neighbor's house, and they're like, oops, and then they go see what the problem is, and they generally get it corrected. So that's usually how that works.
Find where it's running and toss another temporary pile of dirt to stop it.
I mean, did you get it, because I know it's just Saturday, but.
Yeah, I just got talked to about it, and I fired
It's
up.
on your list of things to do.
Yes, I fired up a call, and, I'll hear back from somebody, and we'll discuss it.
And can I just ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Other than Tony's response, did we get an official complaint about it?
When you mean official, we get a phone call. correct?
Yes.
Yeah, did that resident call?
I personally did not get a call, so usually what happens is if they call in and Jessica gets a hold of them or Bar,
Right.
they will hand out my number, and then I will get a direct call on
Correct.
that. And I have not gotten a direct call, because I don't think anyone's called into the.
Because it's actually on my list of mayor report things.
Yeah.
Because I think that person actually posted something again today. And I just want to remind people that Facebook is not the official place to complain. So if you have a complaint and you're watching this, please email me. I give out my email
It is
address.
the official place to complain.
It is
It's
the-
just
okay.
not attached to any business.
Yes.
If you want to scream into a pillow, you can do that too.
Correct, and I think that's part of the problem, and I'll get to that in my mayor, okay, I wanted to clearly point that out. You can always email me, mayor@minervapark.org, I will forward it to the correct person, I do not mind that, I do not monitor Facebook. When I do see something, yes, of course, I try to get it to Eric, but I don't sit on it 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. I wish I did, I wish I had that time.
I'll do that for you.
You can do that.
We'd actually rather you not, because we'd rather
We'll go
people
to
actually
call
contact the administration.
Well, because it becomes a
Because
public,
if you go and give service at Facebook, then they think it's done.
right,
But it hasn't
That's not an
been
official
into the
notification.
process.
Well, let me just put it this way, I will make sure, if it's not, we'll agree to disagree on this topic of the involvement in Facebook, and it's great.
but if you miss it for one day, you missed it.
Right.
That's the problem, it only.
Pardon me, but for those of us unfamiliar with what was on Facebook, it's
Okay.
There's just a resident posted that due to the construction going on at the new elementary school, his backyard flooded during the storm.
Okay, no, I'm not even just talking about that, I'm
Oh.
talking about the flooding on Jordan Road, I'm
Oh,
talking
I was
about the
talking
tree
about
that, the tree that was hit over there that not one person reported, the catch basin that was not reported, but they were all reported to Facebook,
Right, so
I'm
there's-
trying to,
There's a laundry list of these kinds of items.
and yet I've not gotten an actual
And the
thing.
problem is, as you go, if we continue, if anybody in this body continues to go to Facebook and says, okay, we're on that disencourages people to come and actually report it. And
Right.
if we don't have an actual report into the administration, then we can't track these things, because the day that you don't look at Facebook and it goes unanswered or unnoted, that's a missed opportunity and poor service to our residents. But if we continue to encourage them, please call the mayor, please email the mayor.
You guys are all entitled to your opinions about how we should go about doing this.
Right, but if you're not the one handling it, then that's the problem.
I've handled more.
Okay, let's all agree to disagree. Facebook is not, okay. I'm just, look, we're gonna say this, if you want me to handle a situation, it needs to be reported to me. I mean, mayor@minervapark.org, if you want it to be handled appropriately, you can email the zoning officer. Facebook is not the appropriate place, and I will not be monitoring Facebook to make sure that we're sending the appropriate people out to cut down trees and do those types of things. That's all my ask is, because again, it could get missed. So we're gonna move on to Jesse. Okay, you'll have your second at the end, just write it down, don't forget, because we gotta get through these official reports. So let's move on to Jesse Shamp, legal counsel.
So most of what I'm working on, was covered in the engineer's report. A lot of sewer issues, a lot of feed issues, easement issues, so that's all being taken care of. We talked about a work session, we had an appeal filed on a fence permit. We're gonna work to get that scheduled with council for the aggrieved party and the permit holder. Find a date that works for everybody, and before that happens, I'll get everybody sort of a breakdown analysis of how a proceeding like that is handled. So the order that people talk and how we deliberate and all that. So I'll get that out shortly.
Does that end up going into executive session?
There is a way that yes, we can,
For our deliberation.
yes, bounce out, go out for deliberations. So yeah, and I'll get the code provision that allows that in our memo too, sets it out. Other than that, nothing to report.
Awesome. Anybody have any questions for Jesse? All right, let's go to planning and zoning, council person Tony Benedetti.
Let's see, this, just last week, we talked about the building that potentially is going in across from the asphalt court. Just got some designs and, started talking about what sizes we were thinking about. Then we had a discussion about the amphitheater, and we're kind of waiting on, I believe, the funding from a grant, and just had some basic conversations about that, nothing in detail. And then we discussed our sign code. We're going to start, or we started to take a look at the commercial sign code, specifically talking about the number of signs in the windows. And, we're going to start to address trying to clean up the strip malls through improving our sign code. And that's really all we talked about at the planning and zoning. That's all I have to report. Any questions?
All right. No questions, so let's move to village planner Eric Fisher.
Most folks have stolen my thunder, okay, I've been assisting all other groups in this last few weeks, whether it's legal counsel, planning and zoning, or the engineers. There's lots going on. The only two new things I think to report on is, as mentioned at the work session, the house across the way on Lakeland Court is going to be coming through for some variance and plan reviews. As the couple who had bought it at auction a little ways back is going to put a lot into it. They've stripped it down to the studs, and it's going to be pretty neat when they're done. They're going to pour a lot of money into it. It'll be a nice improvement for the community and clean up the lot. So I think that it would be a good change of pace for what's been over there for many years. GIS, just following again on to the engineer's report, there's been some emails back and forth. We'll do some proofing, some final proofing of that system. We've been working on that, staff and the engineers, Jacobs, for the last number of months, and I hope to have that finalized and up here in another month. I would think would be safe as a month. I'm going to be on vacation at the end of July, but I think August we're looking for that time period. Go ahead.
All right, anybody have any, go for it.
Just to refresh this body's memory
Yes, sir.
on the variance process, since we know that there are variance requests coming in, those first go to planning and zoning,
Correct.
and they make a recommendation.
Correct.
There's a public hearing, and then council makes a decision in a meeting.
Correct.
By motion?
You approve it, you disapprove it with reason, or you approve it with conditions.
Okay, thank you.
In the public meeting, it's a planning and zoning meeting?
The public meeting is a planning and zoning meeting, the public hearing will be at council level officially, and that's what we advertise for. And then council will review it at that time and vote on it.
Right.
Well, they're all public meetings, I mean.
They're all public meetings,
Right.
yeah. A public hearing officially is advertised for the council.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, let's go. You guys all got a copy of the code enforcement report, I believe, from John Canty. Did anybody have any questions, problems, concerns? Or review it?
This is?
Yes, that's everything that he's been, oh, it's been busy. We're just gonna go with
This-
boats and tractors and trailers and high grass and garbage cans at the street for days on end and people dumping in reserves and I could go on for days as to everything he's been dealing with. And then obviously lots of permits coming in, still.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
About the, across the street here.
It's all I'm going, oh, it's probably number one. We'll leave it at that.
I mean, is it in here?
We haven't, no, not yet. We actually had a discussion about that today, so there's a lot we have. As you know, we passed a recent RV and trailer code at P and Z and council adopted it. We have seen, amongst our other, many other things, to deal with the growth of use of a lot of people bringing their RVs and trailers home. They're sitting for much longer than a lot of periods. We've been nice because we've been dealing with other issues. But John's going to have to start going through the staff room, and he's going to be sending out letters each week until we roll through them. So, it's just, there's a lot.
I can just say I got a neighbor that's been bothered, been told he can't park and
Yeah.
it's a little upset.
Yeah.
No, it's number 374 on the list. No, I'm kidding. It's in the top, but it's moved its way to the top because it's something that, again, when I'm trying to get down the street and we can't get down the street because so yes, we're obviously fully aware. The only other thing that I will say as far as code enforcement goes, we receive complaints daily of of numerous things. Parking over top of a sidewalk is an issue. That is going to be something that's going to be brought up, and just remember that John is doing his job based on the codes that the village has passed. And if we have issues, problems, concerns, then reach out to council and bring it back to our attention if it's something you don't like the code. But at this point, just know that John is doing exactly what John is told to do, based on council, based on all of our codes. He is enforcing our codes. I know there's people that are disappointed that John is, that the code, I don't want to call him by name, code enforcement officer is doing his job by enforcing the codes and, basically responding to complaints. I mean, there are days that I'm getting 5 to 7 complaints at a time. Somebody made a comment earlier today that I actually chuckled at because they said that we have a lot of unofficial code enforcement officers in the village. And all I can tell you is, you have no idea. Yeah, more than you know. But, again, he is one person. He's out doing his job. As you guys can see by the report, it's very busy, and half of the things are not even on there that he's been working on in the last week. So that's my 2 cents on that.
We do have code though that says you can't park a spot in the driveway. Or not.
You can't block the sidewalk.
I mean the sidewalk.
And I don't think that we have that in our code, right? It's ORC that
It's
says.
You can't block the pedestrian access, is what it is.
So
They
that
can be cited.
Yeah, so that is our code enforcement officer not able to enforce that because it's not our code and it's ORC?
So what happens is the police officer has to cite blocking the
Right.
sidewalk because it's in the right of way.
Right, so that
Is that
happening?
we would let them know.
It's technically a
Gonna be.
misdemeanor.
Well, yeah, it's a parking ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
So is that a process?
It's I'm gonna say it this way, we're gonna try to be nice about it at first. And remind people. I mean, I feel like there's always that, sometimes people just need reminded not to do certain things because they have small driveways.
Please remind them.
Yeah, and they will. So, but I think we all live in the same place and we all want to be friendly and neighborly and all of that until we can't be. So, there's well over close to 2,000, I guess, people. So when you've got a handful of them that are taking advantage of a situation, then it makes other people a little upset. So, and we have a lot of people upset right now. Let's move to MPCA. Councilperson Diane Shrimp.
Okay, FPCA's next meeting is Wednesday at 7 p.m. It will be a Zoom meeting. If anyone would like to attend, Lisa Bruder is the secretary. and she can get a link to this recording. The big thing that they're working on, of course, is the Family Fun Night, which is Saturday. Of course, they're looking for volunteers. They've been posting to Facebook pretty religiously about that as well. All residents are welcome. There's in the newsletter, all of the various activities coming up are listed, including the next wine and cheese, and some other smaller events, as well as a block party planning for September. So that's where we're at with MPCA.
Perfect. All right. Does anybody have any questions? All right, as Eric stated, I'm gonna go to the mayor's report. As Eric stated, we do have a lot going on. I think everybody's fully aware of that. Food trucks are posted on the website. Food trucks are posted in the newsletter. We have them. Look it up. They're there. National Night Out is August 3rd. Do not forget, I would love if members from council would be there. It's August 3rd from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. There will be 6 food trucks at this point in time. Kimber will be there. The majority of our officers will be there. Any of the officers that can be there will be there. So again, I don't know if Leah wants to add anything to that, but she's been working pretty hard on it. We're gonna have the signs. If the signs aren't out yet, we'll make sure that those are out like now. And I think that's probably tomorrow's project because I don't think they are out. Okay, so we will have those out, but again, it's behind Hawthorne, same place as it was last year. So we're hoping for a great turnout. I don't think there's a better time to, come get involved and meet some of the officers and, just get the community involved with it. As everybody is also aware, I hope at this point, there's 4 council seats up. Deadline for that is August 4th. That's all I have to say for that. Sewer catch basin on Alder Vista, $3,000 to repair. I have given the approval for that to be repaired. Again, that was never actually brought to my attention. I just happened to see it on Facebook. So these are things that could easily just slip right through the cracks. Please don't dump in the reserve areas. Even grass clippings should not be dumped in the reserve area. I have a feeling I'm gonna say this every single meeting from now until we don't cut grass again. But just remember, if you don't want it dumped in your yard, don't dump it in ours. Facebook, I just said it. If you have something to report, send it to me, mayor@minervapark.org. Please do not please post your complaints, go for it. But also, if you want something done about it and you want me to do something about it, reach out to me. I would be more than happy to look into it, but I just can't monitor it all the time. Somebody stole my thunder on this one, the pool is going very well. We've had a couple really slow days, but other than that, we haven't really had a lot of issues. I will say, we have had a couple, we've had a stolen bike, we've had some hit skips, we've had some different things. So a little disappointed in that, but again, I think we'll be talking about cameras before you guys know it. Not inside the pool, but the parking lot would be really nice. Not everybody's on board with that, but I guess if you were the parent of some stolen bikes, you might be a little more on board with it to know who's doing it. So that's that. We had a resident, I can't remember if I mentioned this, but I know I did on Facebook, there you go. We had a resident build some benches that was he lived on Wolf Birch, he donated some benches, built them. Brian went out and put them in various locations that he thought would be good locations. So again, just a big thank you to the resident that built those and put those out. I know I've seen people on them, so that works. Picnic table has been delivered over to the basketball court. If there's not a trash can there, we will have it there this week because we do have one. We also put 2 picnic tables on the Black Sycamore, around the Black Sycamore pond, and we will be getting some trash cans over there as well. As you guys know, we're just gonna kind of plop some picnic tables here and there, and we're just gonna periodically move them until we realize people are using them. Yesterday, Schmitz was out here and they were using the picnic tables out there. So we've moved them from there, over to there, over to there. So, they're not difficult to move, so we'll just keep moving them until they're in a place that we find that people really like them. Some shaded areas, some, whatever. So if anybody has an idea of where they would like to see one, again, let us know, we'll get one over there. And that's all I have. So, mayor's report, does anybody have any questions? Okay, let's go to council committee reports. Let's go to community councilperson David McNamara.
All right, Madam Mayor, members of the council community. let's not beat the dead horse about the pool, it's going well. There are discussions about, hay base.
It's more of a live horse.
Yeah, very, very live
Yeah.
apparently. So discussions about paving the, parking lot will be discussed, I believe, the next planning and zoning committee, meeting on the 21st.
No, streets.
Streets.
We'll be discussing it in streets.
Streets. Yeah, sorry, I don't know why I said that. Yeah, the next streets meeting apparently. Also to the pickleball aficionados of the village, I was given information that that will also be discussed as part of that project, potentially. With regards to the level of the lakes for a potential cleanup, the dam valve has apparently been open since June. However, it's become my suspicion
Well,
that
it
it's,
may not be open all the way.
Yeah, it's got my
All I can
suspicion
say
that-
is I turned it a lot of times, and I need to turn it a bunch more.
yes, so that is being checked, so that hopefully we can have a lake cleanup sometime this summer.
I will say that after the rain we got today,
Yeah.
it'd be full.
Yes, yeah, it would be full regardless. Let's see. Previously there was discussion about use control programs. There's some out there right now, they're not too happy to hear this. So there are numerous programs that I hope to have selected and put before council for the spring as removal programs that are not removal based, tend to be somewhat unsavory for people as they are. What did you describe them as, Eric?
Well, there's a couple different flavors of it. What you're looking for is more of a harassment.
Yeah, the harassment for the springtime, to stop them from nesting rather than the exterminating of them.
Yes. The
So-
euthanization is not a popular choice, but
Yeah.
necessary in some cases.
Yeah, with a nice way to describe, there's a nicer way to describe it.
Yes, I was drawing a blank at that time, so yeah.
We all say calling.
Yes,
Call,
calling.
right?
Yeah, so we hope to have that, agency selected for that by the spring. That
By the
is-
winter, if we wanna get them hired by spring.
Yeah, there's a couple of groups that I have bookmarked, I can present to you guys shortly.
I think it'd be a good time on the subject of the geese are up, that the Ohio Division of Wildlife is making an emergency announcement about this bird disease that's starting to spread every which place. They're
Yes, the current information, that I've seen has been that something about the brood X or brood 10 cicadas, there's some sort of toxin, in certain cicadas that gets passed on from the parent bird to the young bird because it seems to affect the fledgling birds, the young birds. And
So maybe the cicadas are gonna eliminate our problem? Is
No,
that what
it
it's
doesn't.
Yeah.
It
It's
doesn't.
like solid bird,
That's
It's
for
not,
all.
it's not the,
No, it
it's
doesn't
not the
affect.
geese.
The Ohio Division
Geese
of
are not
Wildlife
included in that.
is asking people to
So-
voluntarily take down all their bird feeders.
yes, there are,
Clean their, watering bowls with
Yes.
bleach and then
yeah, there are.
fill them.
The advice is along those lines at this point, in case there's anything that can be spread through bird feeders. There's every state division of wildlife or park system or system like that has cleaning recipes that should take care of this if it turns out to be something besides a cicada based toxin. We haven't had brood 10 in a while, and
17 years, in
yeah,
fact.
17 years, yes. So I was in like third grade the last time they were around, but
Well, we'll look out for that.
yeah, hopefully it should resolve itself with.
If anyone finds a bird, their heads tend to tweak one side, they get the
Yeah,
bruising of the eye.
yeah,
If
yeah.
someone finds a dead bird or something like that, they should report it.
Yeah, the hope is that it was simply a cicada based toxin or germ or some sort of pathogen, that now that the brood is receded back underground, the issue should be hopefully self-limiting and self-resolving, because the last thing our native wildlife population needs is another disease. So that went on longer than I intended it to, but those are the community updates.
And it's transmittable from one bird to another.
Yeah, there's some debate about that, as largely it's in fledgling populations, and one bird's not gonna feed someone else's nest, so that's largely why they're thinking it's food source based, and there was such a glut of food in the form of cicadas. So again, hopefully this is self-limiting, self-resolving by the fall.
Back to the community.
You just said that was the end of community, so
Yes.
who's next?
Just close your eyes and
All right.
go away.
Let's move on to finance. Council President Brian Wolf.
Yep, the Finance Committee had a meeting last month. We discussed the potential financial ramifications of moving forward with our early purchase of a police cruiser, which we discussed and passed that legislation, I believe, at our last meeting. We also discussed potential financing options for the ongoing community building project, with more discussion to follow. And I'm certain we will schedule one for later this month, but it has not yet been scheduled. We'll socialize that through emails to get that hammered out.
Any questions? All right, streets. Councilperson Joe Curl.
We haven't had a streets meeting since the latest information, which we're all familiar with, came out from Jacobs Engineering. I think it would be a good idea if we did schedule a meeting and have another meeting. We can go over that. There's a surfacing at the pool issue. I've been trying to find out what other street issues are going around I may not know about. I know there are
Parking
some.
lot.
Yeah, we were just talking about the parking lot, but that's just something new. No, we can, same thing at the end. Well, let's not do it in the middle of this meeting, but at the end of today, let's see if we can go ahead, because Mike had actually asked me about when to schedule the next one. So let me look at my email as soon as we're done with this, and we'll go ahead and get one scheduled.
Okay,
What
then
do
we-
you think the timeline is for him to analyze the
End of July is what he said.
end of July?
So I don't know if we wanna have one before, yeah, I don't know if we wanna have one before that, cause again, depending on if you wanna have one with Mike or without Mike, that's the second part to that. I mean, if we wanna just have our own that talks about the pool paving, whether or not we wanna do it, street signs, that's been a topic that we've been discussing. If we wanna replace those 4 signs at Maplewood, that's gonna be on us. If we decide we wanna do it, do you guys wanna spend the money?
Even if it's short, I think we should have a meeting soon, because then we wouldn't need another one until probably
Mike.
in August. When
Yeah.
the report comes out, but we can go over the stuff at the pool and a couple other things.
Right.
It might be a short meeting.
Yeah.
It'd be good.
Totally fine.
One other quick note on the signs at Maplewood, I spoke to Columbus
Okay.
Traffic about that. They said that's their pole.
Right.
No more signs on their pole, so we have to put our own pole in and our own signs on it at a location that's within our right of way,
Correct.
not Columbus's. So there was a distinctive discussion about that.
Oh, so that was in Columbus's right away then?
It is Columbus's right of way, that pole is located.
I got a personal.
And somebody apparently decided one day
So
that
we
they
want to do
should.
that. It's gotta be-
Yeah, well, yeah, I know, but I thought they did
So
it
we
in
did-
the state,
we did
that was
confirm.
actually.
We thought they
Yes,
did, yeah.
But we were wrong.
I spoke to them directly.
Well, they said it's their pool. Have we confirmed?
Yes, no, I confirmed it's their pole.
Okay,
Yes.
because I say lots of things, they're not.
Yes, no, it's their,
The complaint I received, apparently there are a number of people that I can't say dependent on it because they know the area. They must think somebody else is because they're upset that
It's helpful because-
streets are not announced out of Cleveland Avenue.
no, I understand.
There's probably a way we could do something about that.
It's helpful to have some other.
I think we need to have a
Yeah,
conversation
I think
as to
that's a
whether
street-
we want to do
Yeah,
it.
that's a
Yeah.
streets
Yeah.
committee conversation, let's not have that.
Yeah, so
conversation
it-
To have it again at a streets
And
committee.
that's something we.
So let's move on to-
Streets meeting, but
Yeah.
we need to
And
have
Do you-
one.
do you have anything else for your report?
That's quite a bit.
Okay, then onward and upward.
All right, let's go to communications, councilperson Diane Trump.
Okay, as far as communications, we, in our recent work session, we agreed that we would add an additional page front and back to this newsletter. And so this week, we'll be working on topics primarily a deeper dive into where we are with the facility, and also talk about green space and various aspects of green space, including, keeping it nice and what it is and why it is, and, and that sort of thing. And then there will be some space, should the chief of police have like something on safety he wants to add to that. So that's kind of the template of what that will look like. And so I'll be working on doing some drafts this week to pass around to the communication committee and other council members who might want to give feedback on that. So that will be this week.
What day is the deadline for the newsletter?
Well, I wanted to talk about that because I would prefer to wait until after the MPCA meeting.
Okay.
Because we can do it early, except the MPCA does have a couple of things that they're going to want to get on their part of the newsletter, and I'm not sure how much time they need.
Okay,
So I want to balance the two.
right,
And so after Wednesday, I'll be able to say.
perfect. Just email us and let us know, that way we can make sure that we have all our stuff too. Anything else?
That's it.
All right.
Something here,
Go ahead.
I had a revelation. I like to speak on behalf of the, technically disadvantaged like myself. And, I said I've had trouble, getting to navigating the website, and Mark goes 3 button pushes and he's on. It's like, what am I doing wrong? Well, here's the revelation that I had today, or the other day. I had to ask my son, I said, these 3 lines here, is this some international symbol for something? He said, yeah, that's the menu symbol. I said,
Yes.
what? This is.
Also, are you accessing it through your mobile device?
Yeah.
Okay, see, that's the other problem. Mobile device on websites is terrible.
No.
In my view.
That symbol you're talking about is called a hamburger.
Well, that's what he said, it's one of the menu, hamburger menu.
Yeah, it is
That's funny.
very much.
So this is where I'm trying to, get up to speed on things, and I gotta believe that I'm not the only one.
You're not.
That doesn't know that.
No.
So this is what that's why I'm bringing this up, is because on our
Something like
code.
Trope hamburgers.
Well, I understand it is, and then, my son and I started talking, I said, where did I miss the memo? I don't understand, because I have been doing this and I did not know that was the symbol for menu. And if you look on our code, when you go and search our code, there's a little prompt that comes up that says, click here for the menu key. It says, click here to get the table of contents. Well, could maybe we do something like that for our website?
I would advise against it.
Well, why?
As a person who works in web design professionally, that is non-standard and is going to wreak havoc on a lot of
But
things.
I just got finished telling you that our code does that exact thing.
And I bet you
there's
that's
a
a
reason why
nightmare. I bet you that's a
What's
nightmare
the
for them
night-
to maintain.
To maintain, to have that prompt come.
Yeah, because probably every time they push code, that breaks. I'm telling you, it's a bad idea. We should maintain standard web design.
Okay, you think it's a bad idea. Is it possible to ask the
Well,
people at the
how
website?
about, okay, so we'll
That's
talk
why I'm
about
bringing
maybe,
it up.
or maybe a compromise, so there might be a
Yeah.
compromise there. Okay, I mean.
And I know nothing about it, so I would be
Alright.
not the person to ask.
I'll take it.
I know about the hamburger thing only because I play on it all the time, so.
Well, I don't,
Yeah.
and then I went and looked, and there's all kinds of different, it's not like completely
It's-
universal.
Well, it isn't, because it's trying to cram it on a cell phone. That's the
Well,
problem.
but
And
I would
didn't
say,
know
in
about
defense
how-
of the cell phone, if we have stuff that you can't do on a cell phone, then I think that needs to change.
Well,
I actually think it's
that is
fairly
a
well
lifestyle.
formatted for.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with it for cell phone.
It's pretty stable. It's pretty stable, which is nice that we
But
went with the new software.
Like I said, this is gonna, it's like, wow. That's when you-
We just opened an entire new world for
It
Tony.
did, it really did. It's like, man, there's all kinds of information in there. I thought there was already a bunch of stuff, and it's like, it opened a whole new world.
I think the one thing you said though, that makes sense to me is that when you get to the facility and you see all these things, but it's also a communication thing where you're trying to tell a story. And I think when we get to some of those more in-depth pages, it would be nice to have a summary at the top saying, what is this?
What is
Why
all
is
this
it
stuff?
even here? And what should I pay attention to? I mean, that wouldn't hurt. So it's something that
Well,
I
if you look
made
at all
a
the-
note of.
All the info on the facilities is,
Yeah.
I know, I've been involved in all the meetings, and it's hard for me to figure out
Yeah.
what it-
Yeah, we were able to get all that, the 2021 stuff up there.
Thank you for that, I mean.
Yeah, it did make it.
One, while I'm on it, about the website, is that, maybe a little behind on getting stuff up. Now that I know how to use it, it's like.
We have been,
Couple months.
at this point, they are pretty, like tomorrow they will go and upload everything. So they are now, let me rephrase that, we are caught up, but we're not, we put it on now, but we're still going backwards. I will tell you, they have been doing, you may not find as many broken links as you were thinking, because we have been going through those every single day, not every day, about 3 days a week. We have, one person going through, clicking links, seeing what pages are missing. So yes, now we're kind of going backwards, but on Tuesdays or Wednesdays, we actually do get the stuff from this meeting. We get the video uploaded. We do all of that stuff pretty simultaneously. We get it up there pretty quick. As soon as we get reports and things like that. I mean, there are a couple things that I would like to see done. I mean, just police reports added. I know it's in the agenda, but people don't know to go to the agenda to look for some of those things. So I would like to see a page on the police page that shows, maybe those reports by month. So I think that there's some additional things that we could start adding in there as well, just to kind of show people exactly what's going on and all of that. I think that there's a lot that we could, now that we have, admin rolling in the direction we want them in, I feel like we're getting some stuff caught up. So I do think that there's some definite benefits to that website that we could continue to grow on. Okay, so anything else for Diane? Okay, let's go straight to Tony Benindetti, councilperson, safety.
Well, I haven't had another meeting since the last time I didn't have another meeting. I guess the only thing I'm waiting on is, or hoping to see, is the chief's, description of the license plate reading cameras. That's the only thing.
Oh, you mean besides the thing he sent out that explained the policy? You mean besides that?
Well, what are you gonna put together?
Well, I haven't even asked him to do that. That was from Saturday. He doesn't come back until Wednesday.
Well, right, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. I mean, I'm, waiting on him to come back.
He posted the policy was posted.
Yes.
That written policy,
Mhm.
that was posted.
Or
Yeah.
not just-
And then we also,
It wasn't posted anywhere, it's just, we got it.
Oh, we know.
got it.
Oh, sorry.
I'm looking for something.
but we also, we did send out everything from the cameras when we initially did it that
All the information
explains
from the webs, from the
from the
safety.
flyers. Yeah, because that's probably what he's gonna pull. That would be my guess, is basically what he's gonna pull and explain to people what they are.
This is the thing, is just letting people know about this opt-out program and that we're not doing it. That's gonna be the thing that I'd like to see say publicly. I know it was in the minutes of the meeting.
Right. Yeah,
That's something that, I know there may be only a small few people that care about that, but
Right.
we just need to kind of follow through with informing the public about where we're headed. Because, well, with that being said, that there's a couple people that talked about it intensely on Facebook. We have no idea how many other people are looking to find out what's going on with that too. So I think it's important to get that out. That's all I had to report was in safety.
Perfect. Any questions for Tony? All right, Mark Bruger, legislation.
Okay, so we had our legislative meeting earlier tonight. A couple things that are gonna be moving forward, that we should be seeing on the horizon. We have come to a final draft of the noise ordinance. Noise ordinance, yeah. The only big changes from the last time was we decided not to go with set times, but leave the reasonable standard as the set time. And we added church bells back in as being okay.
Did we have anything, were you going off of something in our?
Yeah, it's an amendment to the existing
Yeah, it's
disorderly
the-
conduct.
Disturbance.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, disturbance of the peace, yes,
Disturbing the peace.
yeah, so it's an amendment to that section of the code that basically gives some more specific language around, what an officer, the standard by which an officer would observe, and they would make the determination of whether it's reasonable or not.
Okay.
Yeah. We're also sort of moving forward with Councilperson McNamara's native plants resolution. We're probably, most likely, it looks like it'll pass that as just a resolution encouraging the planting of native plants in all homes and businesses. And then we'll include a list of native plants that can be updated and added to, most likely on the website. Perhaps if we have a partial list at the beginning, we can put it as an exhibit.
And modify
the-
this time.
And then, yeah.
Addresses it.
And then I'm gonna bring back the flag and symbol ordinance. The last major problem we had with it is the language was that it had to be passed as a resolution, which was mean it was gonna take, 2.5 months to change a thing. Consulting with Jesse, we can just do it, a motion by council. So if there's a design, council can just motion to approve it and move on and get it done in the evening. That was all we discussed at legislation, unless someone who was there notices that I missed something, since I took my notes after the meeting was over. If that's the case, moving on to legislation for tonight, we have resolution 2021-22, a resolution affirming the appointment of Anthony Southard as a full-time police officer for the village of Minerva Park, Ohio. This is a third reading, so I will move for passage.
Second.
Any discussion?
All right,
All right.
Councilperson McNamara,
Aye.
Councilperson Berger,
Aye.
Councilperson Curl,
Aye.
Councilperson Benedetti,
Aye.
Councilperson Shrimp,
Aye.
and Council President Wolf.
Aye.
Okay,
All right, so that is passed. Moving on to ordinance 11-2021. This is just a second reading of it. An ordinance establishing the village council's authority to hear an appeal of administrative decisions. This most specifically refers to appealing permits and such. It is just a clarification of the language of our code to make it more understandable and to give the council the ability to make those decisions. And that is a second reading.
I'd like to talk about that for a second, if we could.
Certainly.
I don't know if I'm missing it in there or not, but I guess in my, reoccurring thing of saying that I think there's another way we can go about accomplishing this, I don't see anything in this legislation that corrects the problem that we have. It specifically talks about a specific address that we can hear an appeal for a specific address. And unless I'm missing something, I don't know if there was a menu button I needed to push or something, but I didn't see it. But, what I'm recommending we do here is, that, again, there isn't anything in this legislation that fixes the underlying problem. And the underlying problem is the way our code reads. And I'm going to read here from our code. It says, appeals to council may be taken by any person aggrieved by or by any officer of the village affected by any decision of the Planning and Zoning Commission. What I recommend we do is add these three words, or zoning official, right there, and then go down and add or the zoning official.
I don't think that you're wrong, and I think we should do that. I wanted to get this legislation in front of you because we had a pending appeal. It's just sort of, belt and suspenders. Council does already have the authority to hear these under the revised code. I would revisit your proposal. I think that was the confusion. I think we've modified the code in years past that, it used to go to planning and zoning.
That I think the way we fix this, it's done with forever, is add those three words.
Well,
And then we don't have to have any of the language that's in there, and we fix the problem.
well, right. I think there's more than just this that needs to be fixed, and I would prefer to do it all at once rather than piecemeal.
Right.
So this takes care of this one situation, it's legal and everything's fine, then we come back in a month and revisit,
Yes, legislation.
knocking out all three of the issues. I mean, you're not wrong, your suggestion's correct, I think we'll probably end up there
Again,
with a
this is
separate
what I
piece.
was just gonna bring up, this is, again, my recurring thing. There's more than one way we can go about accomplishing a task here in the village. And it isn't necessarily the way that it's been recommended by our village officials. I'm gonna keep bringing this up, and as we go on to talk about this topic, you're probably gonna realize that that's all we needed to do in the first place, was add these 3 words in, and, you know, maybe there's gonna be something that you'll come up with here later on that we need to address, but my understanding of the code is, you know, that's all we need to change, and we'll wait and see where I'm wrong at on this, but.
No, I think, I am kind of,
Because it's confusing, because like I said, there's nothing in, the top of the legislation says, you know, that the whereas, that we're, you know, to give the council the authority to hear this. We already have, like you said, have the authority to do it, and the only thing missing is a couple of words, and we'd be good.
well, I see both sides. I think both of your arguments have merit, but I think we wanted to be sure that we didn't get bogged down.
Well, I
It seems like anytime we get started on this, we seem to get bogged down somehow. And so I think this
Well, I'm
took,
thinking if we
this
moved
took
ahead
care-
and just
this
change
took
those
care-
3
this-
words, there wouldn't be no
this-
bogging down.
this took care of it. And I'm the kind of person that, like, if you're gonna fix something, I wish you'd look at all of it, instead of like a plumber going in and say, well,
Hey, wait a minute.
this is ready to leak over here, but I'm just gonna look over here at this part.
Well,
So,
I'd be eager to
that's
hear
how-
what
that's
else
how
we need
do
to
it.
address,
But I
to
wish-
give us the authority, to give us the authority to hear appeal of administrative decisions. That's, the only thing we need to do is add 3 words.
I have a question.
So I'm sorry, just to wrap this up, I didn't see it at the end of the legislative meeting, I know it was there at the start of it, but do we have this on the agenda for the next legislative meeting?
So next month, we can put it on the agenda and talk about all the different points of the code.
All of it, not just.
Sure.
Well,
that's his code.
Yeah,
Right.
that's-
Well,
Well, we also are gonna have some other issues, you know, around the fence permit and, you know, that was
I
talked
think
about, at the work session, we need to talk about our code.
I
in
don't
regards
actually
to that.
know when the August legislative meeting is, because that
Probably
was
the
not.
second, if we're going back to the second meeting of the month, that would be appropriate. I don't know if you're gonna continue to have it on the first meeting or.
Second meeting would be fine.
Perfect.
My question is, that the way this is worded in the minutes,
August 23rd.
is there,
According to
is
Brian.
this saying that the
Yeah.
administration approves permits at times without following the proper criteria?
That is not what it says.
I didn't say that.
I wanted to
Like
make
that.
that clear.
But we
No.
do approve things administratively.
Sure.
Okay, that's our stop, right? That's right.
Well, that is correct.
A person on the street could read that way.
Okay.
Okay,
And I will just say to wrap up legislation there, of course, any council person with any issue with code or whatnot, feel free to write up, what the thing is, what you need changed, or what you would like changed about it, email me and I'll make sure it gets talked at the next, legislation meeting.
Is that a big enough animal that we wanna schedule a full hour and invite Jesse to that meeting?
I think there probably is.
I would agree, that's why I asked,
And so if you do that, then to save Jesse's time.
Might wanna do it on the first meeting.
Well, yeah, we may wanna have it in the first meeting.
And that might be better for me anyway.
well,
I'm checking.
Brian won't be
Yeah,
here.
good.
If not, we'll have to bring Jesse to the second meeting.
Right.
Brian won't be here on that
I
one,
will
just as
be
an FYI.
Second
I'm
meeting.
generally, no, I'm generally an agreeable guy, I trust you.
And we would still have the 2 members plus you guys and myself.
But Jesse said it's better to do a second meeting.
Second,
Oh, okay.
yeah, just to get to it. I just don't want to promise that I'll get to it and then not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so second meeting, 23rd, still.
Yeah, I'm checking that now.
Yeah, double check, because I'll let them know tomorrow to put it down. And if that's the case, we will do, it would be 6 PM.
Yeah.
Okay, while he's looking for that, if everybody's okay to move on to old business, so we can get out of here.
Yeah.
oh, you didn't report on the repair at the pool, I think that happened with the pipe.
Repair at the pool. Oh, that was
Right.
20 problems ago.
That seems like
was-
a lifetime.
That seems like a lifetime ago. They came out, they fixed, they repaired,
The grass is even growing back over.
the grass is even growing back over it. So they did a great job, it's done, it's,
I wouldn't even know looking
yeah.
at the spot.
That's how done that is.
that is how done that is.
So So is this, so we've repaired in that area a couple times already, right?
This is the first time that is, no,
Is it hard?
this is the first time of something like this.
I thought there was one by the bathrooms before.
There was something inside no, it was inside like where the refrigerator and everything goes. So this one was from the other building to this building. So this is a different beast. We're falling apart, that's all,
Yeah.
which we're all getting. So yes, it's been repaired. The equipment or the stuff that he used will last quite a while. So sounds promising. All right, no more old business. Let's move to new business. Does anybody have anything that they want to bring up?
Well, maybe, you know.
Hey, it's not 9 o'clock.
I'm gonna take, a couple minutes to beat my drum about the facility building. And, I think we're heading, I may start to ramble here, but, I don't think we've let the residents of the village understand where we're at this point. And to move forward, without to me, we're at that point, just like we were with the 2999 building, of saying, here's the floor plan, this is what we're gonna end up spending, or this is what we anticipate spending, this is what the floor plan looks like, and it's time for the residents to be getting involved, in my opinion. And, if we continue down this path, there's no change, there's no making any changes at all. And, just in an attempt to, to make the residents feel like they were involved, I think we need to let people know, we have finally decided this is the floor plan.
We haven't done that yet though, Tony.
You have done that to a certain degree, except for to decide that there's gonna be a couple little changes.
Well, no, because they haven't done, technically, they haven't done the core samples yet. That something might come up that would require, now that we see this, we realize maybe we have to put this over here.
I think
And
what,
that's and that's in terms of the core buildings. There is a possibility that this isn't,
I'm
mean, there's so many people out there-
I have a feeling I'm gonna be beating this drum
no, but I think
for a
that
long time.
the first thing is, which we've already signed this contract, so.
I understand that. That doesn't mean we have to have them go forward with the plans. And here's what I'd like to point out. And I'd like to ask everybody here, everybody on council, has anybody taken a look at what Beth McFarland has sent out to everyone? And her floor plan? And, here's my, I guess, having thought about what has been said in the past about this, and what I'm having trouble understanding is why we think that Beth's plan is going to be more expensive. Or better yet, I should say that it's the only feedback we're getting about how well the plan was put together is from the person that put the plan together. I raised some objections, and the only person that responded was the guy that put the plan together, saying, no, basically, your concerns, aren't valid. And, so what I think we should do at this point is that's why I keep asking, who's been involved in this process so far? And there hasn't been anybody involved that's an architect or to take a look at what other than the architect. We have an architect. What I'm getting at is there anybody to take a look at an architect to look at what the architect's doing?
Do we have an attorney that comes in and checks everything that the attorney does? That's basically what you're asking. You're asking to hire an architect to check the architect.
Engineer that checks the engineer.
We'll go into that next.
Okay.
We'll go into that next. Okay, this is all I want to say.
That's what we need.
Tony,
This is what I.
Okay, wait, Tony, we have a 10-minute thing and I don't think we're there.
Professionals now, we didn't double up our costs.
Okay.
That's right.
And that was probably out of line to say, but that's basically what you're asking. So if we wanna, and I probably shouldn't have said that,
Okay,
but,
well, let's just go there, okay? All I'm saying, I'm gonna finish my, my speech on the
Okay.
facility building, is I think we should have, because here's the thing I don't think you guys understand. When you go to cover this stair up, that requires an engineer to figure out how you're gonna cover that step up.
it's gonna require an engineer to figure out
Yeah.
how to move
Yeah.
that step.
They have
Those are
engineers, they
all-
have
Yeah,
structural
that's-
engineers.
But
That's-
but
that's why
not
we
every
hired a
step,
firm.
this is what I don't think you guys understand, and it's like me taking advice from people that aren't, up to speed on what it takes to build a building.
Are you a structural engineer? Are you an
I'm
architect?
not a structural
Then
engineer,
what
but I've
then?
been involved in construction
Sure
projects
lie, sure
before.
lie, so lie.
Well, okay,
So
this is
everybody
what
on
I'm
some
trying to
level.
say,
So may
and this
I-
is also, if I could finish, please.
Well, I was trying to interject between that argument there, but if I'm hearing you, Tony, and I will point out one thing, what you are saying is very much like what I was saying earlier, because I also do web design and understand what's going on and why this is this way. You're trying to say you do building things and you understand, but the village has hired professionals to handle these things, and we largely should be relying on those professionals.
Well, but
What I will also interject is that the one thing I agree with you 100%, that the biggest reason why 2999 Devil Grandview failed is because we didn't communicate early and often. So I will, I think, step in to
right
nip
down
the
there.
rest of your complaint in the bud maybe to say that yes, we absolutely should be doing things to communicate explicitly what's going on and where we are with the residents. What is your idea on how to make that communication?
The first start is going to be, not to interject, but we are having the half page or whatever page in the newsletter, which has already been established. So I feel like we are already on board to try to do that.
So, if we can say that your primary concern here about communicating to the residents, we already have positive action, right? Unless you can point out to a technical failing of the work of our professionals that we have hired, right? To sit here and say that their work needs to be second guessed or to be reviewed is kind of an expensive boondoggle.
But that's why I asked initially, have you looked at Beth McFarland's, she is an architect.
Yes.
She
Yes.
does have concerns.
Ideas.
She
Yes.
has been involved in
Yes,
this project.
And so have all the people who created the plans that we've looked at. Now, I think I will go with what your concern is, and might be right, and where it's two different things. I believe with where we are in the process, the general footprint of the building is essentially set with where different levels and things would be. What some people are saying that it's not set is that yes, internal rooms and sliding this room here, does this room want to be an office or a bathroom? Those are all changes that can happen. The idea of, well, we'd have the community area about here, the mayor's office about here, the entrance here, the police here. Yes, I believe that is pretty much set unless we want them to go back to the start. However, where changes can be made, and where some of those changes that were pointed out to us by one of the residents about like sliding the little conference room over, so it can be a conference room and reports room, and then you don't have to do the reports room up there. Some of those little changes are still on the table that can be made.
Right.
If I'm understanding where we are in the process.
This is a very hot topic because I've had lots of residents contact me about it. And rather than complain, they yell, they want to have some way to be involved in the process.
We've been involved in the process
They did.
since 2017.
I am not saying that anybody here's done anything wrong. I'm saying this is what they're saying.
Right, we've done that with all of Diane's, keeping the building
Old
here.
days when we would meet and they would come and get
Yep,
to the podium.
and we did all of that, and we put stickers on proposed ideas of how to do it. We have gone with the one that the community said was the most likely option, the add-on and renovate option, with the proposed budget of that, and now we are trying to make that happen.
So we have had resident involvement for, Diane was the big full force of that for years.
That was a whole separate issue.
It's not a whole separate issue, we focused based on that information.
Yeah.
Well, not a separate issue, but it's a whole different plan that we're going forward.
Based on engineer recommendations, the engineer that was hired by council, that you guys interviewed both of the interviews. So, again, this has been an ongoing project. If people are not aware, other than going door to door, having a town hall, doing all of that, I'm open for suggestions. We could rent Hawthorne, we could do a lot of different things. We can set up diagrams, we can do whatever it is you guys wanna do. I'm not in a position right now to put that together. I have got enough on my plate, but between communications and all of that, we're already doing, something in the newsletter. Anybody can go back and look at any one of the live streamed videos that we have discussed it. They can go back and watch the Garmin Miller, and the other architect videos. They can do all of the above. I have an open door policy. Call me, text me, email me. I'd be more than happy to have somebody come in and have discussions with them. So, as far as that goes, you're never gonna please everybody. I completely understand that. This design is not everything that I want. I wish that we had $4 million and that we'd be getting everything we want, but it is not about want, it's about needs. Again, I invite anybody that wants to argue the plan or argue anything at this point to come in here for 2 hours. Just come in here for 2 hours. Sit in my office for a couple minutes, have at it. I don't use my office. Village officials will tell you, or, all staff will tell you, because it is embarrassing people can't use the restroom. If I'm sitting in my office, I'm not gonna go through all of that right now. The moral of the story is this building has needed to be done. The residents are fully aware that we are in the process of trying to move forward. Not everybody's gonna love the plan. I have a newsflash. There's a lot I would change on the plan if we had the funds. So is this the best that we can do? I don't,
What I think, what you guys are.
It is a good
missing
plan.
here Is that if this does go to a referendum, then the residents are going to have a chance to vote.
Okay.
And then you have all the people in the village that don't want us to spend $8,000 on a camera, let alone $1.7 million on a community building. So what we are opening ourselves up to, if we continue down this path, is a referendum, because
But that's gonna happen anyway if we don't pass it out as an emergency. There are, the people who don't wanna spend $8,000 on a camera are gonna say 1.7, no, we're referending it. We're not gonna stop those people from doing a referendum, short of passing it as an emergency.
I get it,
The 23rd does not work for
I
the
don't
legislation.
I'm not being realistic.
And that is that
Tiffany?
taking
The
grumbling
23rd does not
on
work
it
for
is
the
very
legislation, that's my
discussion.
first
We
night of
just
my
had,
new
I
class.
think, a pretty
before that.
good
Yeah, it's fine, but
explanation of
I'm
what's
saying
going
here,
on.
the start date
The
of my
public
class is the
doesn't know
23rd,
what we
and
just
this is the
said.
first day of class, no
Except
good.
we are in a public session, the
And-
public has been invited.
17th.
This
16th.
meeting is live streamed to the internet, and the video is available on our website in perpetuity.
The information.
Precisely.
So I have said this before, and I will never stop saying it, right? We do this dance in front of a window. If nobody looks in, we can only be held so accountable at that point, right?
We can find them to this meeting if they want the explanation.
I'm committed to, as we move forward, I'm committed to, as head of communications, however you want to put it, I am committed to providing ongoing communications on the facility as it progresses. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with taking the time to have some work sessions, or like we had before, we had an open house, and we combined people who are running for council with take a look at where we are at the buildings. We had a couple things going on. We had beverages and cookies and such, and we did that, and we had a pretty good turnout. It's not just one-time thing. We'll step through it to give people an opportunity to express their concerns and interests, etc. And hopefully in doing that, now, because we're talking, they're gonna take at least 6 to 9 months to get the construction documents done.
We're definitely 3 months away from anything that's short of plan renderings, things of that nature, right?
So this is a lengthy process to even get to the point where they're gonna say, okay, here it is, we're ready to go out to bid with this thing. So, we have a lot of opportunities to communicate and give feedback along the way, if we take them, and I think we could take them, I think we should.
Absolutely.
I don't understand, because I've never been involved in a project like this, big ones in my life. No, what I'm saying is, I've never been involved in one.
Okay, so just to wrap this up, we can talk about the new building all night. I know we've talked about it numerous days. So if everybody wants to get on board and put together a couple different things, that would be awesome. Tony, you have something else?
I
I got one more thing. I want to talk about the passing of legislation by emergency in our last meeting. You know, we just talked about, you know, questioning the law director's opinions, and I'm sorry, you know, Jesse, but I don't think you guys really understand what we did this past, when we passed that as an emergency, and to say that we already made the decision to go with Garmin Miller, you know, so we don't have, that we can pass this piece of legislation as emergency, I think is inaccurate. And the one, if I finish, the one thing that Brian had said is that the reason that we did this was to move things along more quickly. That most definitely is not a reason to pass something as an emergency. And I will say that what we did the first time with Garmin Miller was we accepted their qualifications as them being the most qualified. And at that point, we were asking them to give us to put together a plan and give us a price for what it would cost to put together the bid documents. That's what we decided the first time. We didn't decide, as has been said, that we decided to go with Garmin Miller in the first ordinance or resolution. No, we didn't decide to go forward with having them build, to come up with the plans. We just said, you're the most qualified, give us a price and a proposal. So, you know, this is what really bugs me about government, in that we can say whatever we want. We're the Village of Minerva Park. We've got our official that said, this is my legal opinion, and we're sticking to it. And at this point, the only remedy for me is to spend $10,000 on an attorney and bring that to court. You know, or it's at least $10,000. You know, so again, when you said, do you want to have another attorney second guess everything that our attorney does? In this particular case, I do. You know, because I disagree with it, but I'm not going to get the rest of you guys to agree with that. What pisses me off, if I can finish, please, this is what we're doing to other people in the village, this is what our officials say. If you don't like it, see you in court. And I'm tired of it.
Okay, so I'm gonna make two comments, and number one, we did pass second legislation, so you're inaccurate on that. The second legislation had Garmin Miller's name on it as well. That was just passed.
Just because it has a name on it doesn't mean we're making the same decision.
You did. You passed legislation.
We passed legislation accepting that they were the most qualified and to give us.
You've passed two Garmin Miller pieces of legislation.
And the second one was for them to write the plans. See, again, you guys don't get it, and I don't.
I don't understand what you're saying.
Well, we had two, there was Horn and King that we chose them over.
So Tony,
No.
if I may,
Yeah,
Right.
we did.
the
Well, we
first,
chose them over Horn.
yeah, the first thing I want to say is that the ORC, in regards to emergency legislation, says that it is for the health, safety, or well-being of your community. And I can tell you that a project of this size, every day that it goes on, costs money. And money is very important to the well-being of our community. Therefore, by passing this as an emergency, we have shortened the length of this project by a month. A month is money. Money is important to the well-being of our community. So that is why I would support the idea of moving forward anything that means money as quickly as we can, because time is money. And that is my personal justification for why I was the one that suggested we pass that as an emergency. So, and if you can tell me that money isn't important to the well-being of this community, I think you're foolhardy.
Well, I think that just too
Hold
important.
on, that was my first thing. Secondly, and I have three. Secondly, we do in fact have the opinion of a law director who did in fact opine on the fact that, we're in the right. So we are satisfied there. And when you say that, that leaves you no other recourse but to go get your own attorney and sue, well, I would say welcome to representative democracy. Right? We put this before a governing body. We discussed it. In fact, we had, I would say, a reasonably robust discussion beforehand, and then we voted, right? It took 4 members of this body to pass it as an emergency, and we met or exceeded that number. So, of course we are, no, that was actually my third. The two dovetailed it together. So that is the nature of this piece.
Well,
when you say you're irritated with the form of government, I mean, Tony, you are a government, so.
Well, it's not, it's not specific to this one, It's government. It's
You're sitting here like
it's
us.
just the way it works in general, and that's what I don't like. Is this what we say, and we'll see you in court? And that's what's going on here.
But Tony,
That's
what
not what we
does this
say.
governing body do that isn't that? Right? We set a zoning ordinance, this is what we say. And if you don't like that, we will see you in court. This
Well-
is our income tax laws. And if you don't, we said it, and if you don't like it, we will see you in court. That is the outcome of every decision this governing body makes.
Which is us in court.
Okay, so I think we've beat this one now, and can we call this one a dead horse? Because at the end of the day, the only thing I'm gonna say is it was voted on as an emergency. If you do not like the outcome of what your, fellow council members decided on their own to do, I can't apologize for that. So, but it was there, but it was, okay, but.
No, the option
I know, and you guys all-
was, the option was there, and we voted to not
Right,
do that.
so I just wanna point out the fact that, everybody that's sitting on here has the right to their own opinions, and they should be able to vote any way that they want without other council members judging them after the fact, and that's my personal opinion. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion, just like you are. So the vote was done, that's the way that the vote went, and that is how everybody decided.
On the record, because there's a lot of people out there that I'm sure feel the same way that I do.
And I am not gonna disagree that there are not people out there, so, absolutely, but that is what the process is for, and you made this plug, so I'm gonna say the same thing. If you don't like the way that everything is running, there's 4 council seats that are gonna be open. So feel free to run, and you will also be able to sit here and have your, opinion, and again, we welcome it. I mean, we definitely welcome it, except for when we're beating a dead horse for the 8th time, so,
I'd like to make your point.
okay.
The first half of this discussion would be an excellent way to communicate to the community because we concisely went over the reasons for everything. And maybe we could somehow get that word out to the community through communications or something. Now, I think that would help.
Hands-on.
The second point is I've never seen a project of this type that isn't fluid anyway. There's always changes.
At some point, the fluidity stops and a building is built to specifications.
Yes.
No, there are unforeseen conditions through all the
Full tap, correct.
All right, so,
Move to adjourn.
whoa.
We did not provide.
We have not provided an opportunity for you to talk, so would you like to say anything? Citizens' comments?
Well, it's hard to follow all of that.
Exactly, how do you follow that?
The protocol for citizens comment, if you'd like to make it, is to give us your name, address, and you got 3 minutes.
Well, I'll just introduce myself. I'm Chris Goronsky. I live at 56 West Pasemont. I'm an attorney. And I'll be representing the Morrisons on the upcoming fence matter. And I just wanted to introduce myself to all of you. And I look forward to working with the administration on it to resolve that matter. And I did want to thank council for expediting the issue so that we can come to a resolution sooner rather than later. And I do wish you luck updating your code on procedural matters. I know those things can get very bogged down in complications and that sort of thing. So I wish you luck on that.
Great.
That's it.
So
Thank
we'll
you.
see you soon.
Yeah.
Kids live on West Pasemont, do they still do the fireworks
Hopefully they can make
off the hill down in the
resolution
little
on
park
their
there
own.
after Park of Roses are done?
Somebody wasn't checking up on Jesse.
You know the little park at the end of West Pasemont that just has that one little
Now we
hill
can
of grass?
Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Good night.